There are two other metaphors in this one I use. In the New Deal, in the Roosevelt era, the New Deal included the Civilian Conservation Corps, a cadre of professionals who were carrying the message extension to people around the country, particularly in the depressed southern states of the United States. This was the model on which agricultural extension systems were built in South Asia, and I think they're very successful. There's another model, which is the Peace Corps model. John F. Kennedy introduced the Peace Corps as a way in which professionals would go out, live in the place, provide that knowledge, support, and so on and so forth. In the voluntary domain, Médecins Sans Frontières and Engineers Without Borders are ways in which this kind of the process has been done. In the 21st century, it will require information technologies and others, but I think we need to think boldly in terms of a global program of technology cooperation that mobilizes both volunteers and governments, puts the government support behind this kind of a proliferation of technology. And there are lots of very simple things, but they actually need people to go out and tell you how to do it, put them into practice, whether it is policies, whether it is practices, whether it is business community actions. So I think a bold program of knowledge transfer is exactly what we need. My last point is that in the renewable energy domain and its support for energy efficiency, we have a significant challenge. And that challenge is the following. In the developed countries, the thrust is now towards raising the price of carbon and therefore raising the price of conventional energy services. And that is a way of giving incentives to renewable energy. And it is feasible. I mean, when I pay for electricity in New York, I pay roughly 18 to 19 cents per kilowatt hour. But I get an American salary. If I were to live in Pakistan, even with the kind of professional and other background, I would get a Pakistani salary, and 18 to 20 cents per kilowatt hour would pretty much kill me. Now, of course, if you think that the 99.9% of the Pakistanis earn less than I do, then you can imagine that the problems would be much more acute. So what we need is a solution that lowers the price of renewable energy, Now, we in developing countries have traditionally tried to do so through very specific targeted subsidies. We give subsidies for, like block tariffs for electricity, block tariffs for gas, lower charges for lower income consumers, higher for higher income consumers. We also give subsidies on diesel and kerosene because poor people generally use it and so forth. So we have some experience with this. But the thing is that we need to find a way twofold. One is to make subsidy on renewable energy affordable by the countries. Because if we shift to a huge scale on renewable energy, then the countries might not find it affordable. So we need to find. And secondly, we need to find a way of lowering the price of renewable energy rapidly enough that developing countries will see that as the preferable, the profit-making option. And again, I think you have a number of ideas on this. My own preference is for a globally supported feed-in tariff system, in which, I think in the last session also people were talking about it. We announce the price of renewable energy, invite people to bid and set it up, and we also set the output tariffs, the tariffs which are charged to consumers based on incomes. The tariffs for consumers keep rising over time. As incomes rise, the tariffs on renewable energy keep falling as cost efficiency set in. And in a span of about 10 years, looking at some of the numbers, we can eliminate really the need for significant subsidies, and we can be on our own. But we need to think about that in a way in which we front load a lot of the investment, provide strong public support. There has to be strong technology push rather than passively waiting for the carbon credits and so forth to deliver. There are a number of financial instruments already to provide support for something like these. There are the CDM and ODA and GEF, etc. Currently, they're much too small compared to what is needed, but that is something that can be expanded through the negotiations, etc. But the important thing is that we need to have very concrete programs that deliver on energy access, and through that, build up the basis for solving the agenda forward. Ladies and gentlemen, I actually believe that the climate agenda is, in some sense, composed of very different components. The attention of a lot of the world is focused on what countries will agree in terms of targets. But people have forgotten that the practical action takes place under the other headings, under technology, under finance, under the other mitigation actions. We really need to make them, put them at the same level and say, can we push that agenda forward as quickly as possible, put some resources behind it to get it done. But if we can move forward on these practical areas of work, we will be able to achieve results that would make climate change far more amenable to policy intervention and to global agreement. This, ladies and gentlemen, I believe is the urgent challenge of our time. It combines energy access and uses that as an entry point for many of the other domains, and I applaud you for putting your finger upon it. The great philosopher Goethe once said that it is not for man. Of course, if he were writing today, he would have said it is not for man or woman, but at that time, that's how people wrote. It is not for man to solve all the problems of the universe. It is for him to put his finger on the problem and then remain within the realm of the comprehensible. And I think you have put your finger on it, and I congratulate you, and I thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you very much.